Hello everyone. The new Harry and Meghan headlines. Trouble in paradise, rumors of divorce, and their taking time apart logic and common sense suggest that something will eventually come to light. There are rumors that Harry is struggling at home with both Meghan and her mother. This is what people are saying. Body language experts believe that Harry is very reliant on Meghan. It seems he has found a mother figure in her, and it's clear she has taken advantage of that. She may want to keep him tied to this dynamic for as long as he serves her purpose. But here's the catch: human nature, with all its complexities, fills different needs for different people. Sometimes logic and reason can't break through. As we all know, Harry has dealt with mental health issues, many of which stem from the deep emotional trauma of losing his mother and the immense grief that followed. Meghan claimed she had a conversation with Princess Diana while at her grave years ago. When I first read about it, I didn't think much of it, it just seemed like a strange thing to say. But now, looking back at everything that's happened, especially with how Harry has been acting, it seems like Meghan used that moment at Diana's graveside to her advantage. It's almost like she gave Harry something he's been longing for his entire life: a connection with his mother, even though Meghan is the one speaking the words. We've all seen her rubbing his chest or back, holding his hand like a child and his mother. It really shows the control she has over him, even in public. Harry rarely seems to hold his head up straight. No matter how old he is, it's clear he has issues. Meghan supports him in some ways, but she also plays on his weaknesses, using them for her own benefit. That's why she probably isn't worried about a divorce. Meghan acts like a mother figure to him, convinced she has everything Harry needs. But what must life be like for him at home, wandering aimlessly and wondering what to do each day? With Meghan possibly treating him like a child, with her mother's help, he must feel like the world is against him, with no one left to solve his problems like before. We all know how sharp Meghan can be. From my experience, watching men be bullied by their wives is not a pleasant sight. It's important to remember that Harry is doing what he thinks is best, with Meghan playing the role of his caretaker now. But Harry, you need to open your eyes and see who you're really dealing with. Just look at her. Piers Morgan would likely call her a compulsive liar, saying she'd say or do anything to achieve her goals. In my opinion, she's emotionally abusing Harry every day, and sadly, he seems unable to stop it. That's often how mental health issues work. A grown man would stand up, politely say no, and set boundaries. But with Harry, there's no turning back now. It's hard to believe, but he's not the same since he met her. The responsibility and consequences for their actions are things he's never faced before. In her final moments, the Queen reportedly used just 3 words to express her feelings about Meghan, now seen as a vile woman in the eyes of many. This was not typical of the Queen, who lived by the rule of never complaining and never explaining. If she did make such a statement, it suggests she was deeply troubled by what she saw happening around her. As for the divorce, it seems inevitable. It will either happen when Harry finally matures within the relationship, which seems unlikely, or when circumstances force it upon them. While Harry has his own mental health struggles, Meghan, or Rachel, as her real name is, seems even more mentally unstable and dangerous. Her manipulative behavior is clear, as she has successfully isolated Harry from his family and friends. The level of control she has over him is truly unsettling. Meghan has created a toxic environment where Harry is constantly under her control, unable to make his own decisions. Her unpredictable behavior and love for drama have only worsened Harry's mental health issues. She seems to thrive on chaos, pulling him into one scandal after another. This constant turmoil has taken a serious toll on Harry, leaving him confused and more dependent on her. It's heartbreaking to see what has happened to Harry. Once a beloved royal, now reduced to a shadow of his former self, he deserves better than to be trapped in Rachel's manipulative web. The sooner he realizes how toxic their relationship is, the better his chances of reclaiming his life and mental health. Before meeting Meghan, Harry was known for his bright smile and playful spirit. Now he looks worn down, a mere shadow of who he once was. But let's be clear, while it's sad to see him like this, there's no sympathy for someone who has turned his back on everything he once stood for. Any sympathy should be reserved for his late grandparents, his father, his brother, and his sister-in-law, the woman he once called the sister he never had. Harry has betrayed the very family that supported and cared for him. His actions have created deep divides and brought public embarrassment. For those who stood by him through everything, it's heartbreaking to see the pain in his family's faces. people who once held him so dear. Harry has turned his back on his heritage and responsibilities, choosing instead to follow a path of deceit and manipulation. This isn't the Harry we once admired. He has willingly allowed himself to be led astray, abandoning his duty and inflicting pain on those who love him most. His brother, who once shared an unbreakable bond with him, is now left to carry the heavy burden of their fractured relationship and the fallout from Harry's decisions. Harry's sister-in-law, once a trusted confidant, now finds herself protecting her own family from the consequences of Harry's reckless decisions. It's clear that Harry has lost his way, caught in the grip of Meghan's influence and his own poor choices. He must face the consequences of his actions and the pain he's caused. Until he opens his eyes and takes responsibility, there can be no forgiveness. Both the royal family and the public deserve better than the betrayal and dishonor he has brought upon them. As for Harry and Meghan's divorce, it seems inevitable. She's played him like a fiddle, and now the situation has spiraled into a nightmare. From the start, Meghan knew how vulnerable Harry was his struggles with drugs, being the spare, and how close he was to William, Catherine, and their children. It was all well known online, including how much Harry longed for a family of his own, and so they went on a blind date. Harry fell into the trap of someone who knew exactly how to manipulate him like a snake or a black widow. She stroked his ego, then eventually told him she was pregnant, knowing full well that he would feel pressure to marry her. The royal family wouldn't allow a child to be born out of wedlock, so the engagement was announced. Then she mentioned a miscarriage, leaving Harry with no choice but to move forward with the wedding. He couldn't say they weren't getting married because of how shallow that would make him look, and so the manipulation began. Meghan got her fairy tale wedding and later on arranged to have a child, knowing Harry wouldn't abandon his own kid. But when it came time to actually work as a royal, something she was getting paid for, she wasn't happy. She assumed she could return to the US, sit back, and live the life she believed she was entitled to, with her husband's family and UK taxpayers footing the bill. She thought Hollywood would come knocking because she was now married to a prince. When that didn't happen, she raised the stakes again with interviews and stories, further exploiting the situation. Then another child appears, and Harry puts his name to a book that she likely co-wrote with a friend. In doing so, he's basically signed her divorce papers. His mental instability, drug use, and confessions of killing people have alienated him, even from his own family. The narrative might turn into her claiming, "He never loved me, he loves someone else now." Harry is cut off from his family, his friends, and even his finances. Meanwhile, Meghan is frustrated that she's not getting the high life or the attention she craves from A-listers or Hollywood. She's not the center of attention anymore, and she can't be called Her Royal Highness. The world is starting to see through her, and public sentiment has begun to shift against them, especially her. So a divorce seems inevitable. In no time, she'll likely be seen on the arm of some other unfortunate soul looking for a big payout. She'll demand child support and maintenance to maintain the lifestyle she thinks she deserves. Before any money changes hands, the kids need DNA tests. Who's to say that if Meghan was pregnant, Harry is the father? His drug and alcohol use could have impacted his fertility. The divorce should happen before he turns 40, especially since he'll receive the next installment from his mother's estate. Meghan knows exactly what she's doing. She might be taking her time, but she's realized that no one really likes or trusts her, except for her mother, which is debatable, and a male friend. Harry will likely return to the UK and be left to fester unseen, and then she'll probably release a book about her experiences with Harry and his family, detailing everything she claims to have endured. In short, Harry seems to be nothing more than a puppet in Meghan's hands, manipulated at her convenience. It's disappointing that the palace has only just started to take action instead of proactively addressing the situation while allowing Harry and Meghan to control the narrative. It's not as simple as the palace making a strange move. They are under pressure from many sources. Please watch until the end of the video for complete information, not just from the United Kingdom, but also from the continent. The palace has recently been flooded with correspondence, and the king is well aware of what's coming his way. Even though he's undergoing treatment for cancer, one of the toughest times in his life, the public's demand for the royal family to be transparent is rising at an alarming rate. This is not just a passing wish, it's a growing sentiment. Does the King of England realize that the game is over? Without a doubt, he does. What remains a mystery is why the king has allowed this situation to drag on for so long. In my opinion, his advisors have let him down by not being in tune with public sentiment. Are they currently looking for ways to distance themselves from Meghan Markle and her husband, who isn't exactly the brightest? Based on today's news, it seems that might be the case, which could excite the Sussexes. The palace has released information indicating that the communications office at Buckingham Palace has reached out to the media. While this isn't an official news release, it's still significant. They seem eager to get their message across. There's speculation that the palace is preparing to remove the Sussex titles. Recent reports from mainstream media reveal that the late Queen never met Lilibet and hadn't even spoken to her via video call. This adds fuel to the fire, suggesting a growing divide between the royal family and the Sussexes. We're receiving information that several national newspapers, including the Daily Express, the Mirror, and the Daily Record, have validated this news in the past few hours. This contradicts everything Harry has shared about how the palace has addressed this long-standing issue. We can't let Harry and Meghan continue to spread nonsense that affects the reputation of the royal family. It's very telling how the lies keep spilling out every time they speak. This toxic duo deserves to lose all their titles, including those of their supposed children. Moreover, this could be the palace's way of admitting that either the children don't exist, or if they do, they aren't what the public has been led to believe. It's absurd that, on what is supposed to be Lilibet's third birthday, they're sharing the same questionable photo of her in the blue dress that they claimed was taken at her first birthday party. Certainly, Harry has to be one of the worst sons, brothers, and grandsons to so blatantly lie about so much to his family. Even when his grandmother was battling cancer, he couldn't resist causing her pain. I truly hope this information is accurate and that the truth will come out soon, not 5 years from now. Charles loves his son, but this has gone on long enough. It's time to come clean. Harry knows there won't be any nonsense tolerated. He deserves to lose everything. As for Meghan, she can rot in hell for all I care. It seems like Meghan is spending a fortune on PR, but it isn't working. The king needs to get a grip and be honest about his Californian grandchildren, who are just one plane crash away from the throne. That comment from Meghan alone shows the world her intentions. It's ridiculous to think that for years the supposed princess in Los Angeles has been portrayed as a child model from an online catalog. Everything about the supposed visit of Lilibet to Queen Elizabeth II was phony from start to finish. Harry lied through his teeth. Now that this lie has been acknowledged, it should be easier to take the next steps. There may be other lies that will come out first, but ultimately the big issue is Harry confirming their children's births. I also think the palace is slowly revealing information about Harry and Meghan. It makes me wonder if this was the plan all along, as they never act on a whim in response to public letters. Despite what we've learned, it seems the King and the Prince of Wales were furious about the non-royal trip, not a tour of Nigeria. Perhaps even with his cancer treatment, the King has given the green light to gradually share information with the media while the palace shuts out Harry, Meghan, and any journalist trying to promote them, as many did during the Nigeria trip featuring a half-naked Meghan. I'm pretty sure the whole Commonwealth has already heard about the palace being upset with Nigeria. Oh boy. Ghana has already withdrawn their invitation. Just as I said, Harry and Meghan will be in a mess of their own making. So much so that Scooby and Marcus might have to help dig them out. Honestly, I'm curious about Archie and the rumors surrounding his christening pictures. Will the palace address this too? There's also a rumor that the first time any royal family member saw Archie was during the South African tour. The Queen's requests to meet Meghan were repeatedly ignored, which showed a lot of disrespect. That baby Meghan presented to Desmond Tutu supposedly wasn't hers, and it was clear how uncomfortable Archie was on her lap when they moved to America. Did you catch that moment in the video when Harry said Doda and Meghan gave him an annoyed look? It seemed strange to me, like her own ego didn't want to acknowledge the child might not be Harry's, even though he's meant to be the father. A few years later, it makes more sense why Meghan gave that annoyed look. It seems the baby has another father, not Harry, and she's not the mother either. It's really unfortunate that the late Queen allowed this deception to continue. She should have stopped it right after the Oprah interview. Why were those two children, clearly not born to Meghan, included in the line of succession? She should have also started the process to remove their titles. It wasn't fair to Charles either, leaving him to clean up the mess. Did you know that Nigeria was the third time they openly defied the standing agreement? Yes, Meghan kept trying to profit from their titles, but none of her grand plans ever succeeded. Every project got dropped so quickly, it almost suggests that there might have been legal threats warning them to stop. For a while, none of us realized that Meghan's failure to succeed as a royal influencer was actually a sign of being shut down. After that, Harry and Meghan shifted to their original plan, becoming global royals and representing the Commonwealth. Following meetings with Canadian tribal leaders and Jamaican officials, this was their third attempt at a Commonwealth gathering. Even when the UK tried to block it by calling it a private visit, they still pushed ahead and attempted to meet with Nigerian leaders, who refused. That move definitely crossed a line. Despite many warnings, they ignored them and kept pushing forward. It seems they still have plans to continue. As they say in the US, 3 strikes and you're out. I believe the palace waited this long to address the lies because they were giving Harry and Meghan a chance to reflect and make amends, but they never did. They've continued to fight against the monarchy and the royal family, even cozying up to the monarch's adversaries. The palace has only revealed bits and pieces, not showing their full hand, but they've made it clear we're tired of your games. We don't want to hurt you, but you keep hurting us, and we never complain. The British public is demanding answers now. People know that neither the late Queen nor the current King have ever seen the children. They've read Spare, watched the TV interviews, and witnessed the Nigerian trip. They've seen how Queen Camilla is treated, the disrespect Prince William endures from Harry and Meghan, and how King Charles is handled as well. It's an endless cycle, and the general public is exhausted from it all. The King has quietly battled cancer, and now Princess Catherine is also facing her own fight with the disease. Everyone in the royal family has been deeply hurt by the actions of Harry and Meghan, and it seems like their day of reckoning is fast approaching. Some people still feel sorry for them and believe their lies, while others remain loyal to the monarchy. Now, the ancient institution of the monarchy has been awakened, ready to defend itself like it has done in the past. The time for Harry and Meghan to come clean and stop is running out. Many believe that God is standing up for the monarchy, as in days long gone. Long live the King and Queen, the future King and Queen, their deliverance is near. Meghan will keep lying, and Harry will stand by her. I used to have some sympathy for Harry, but he's completely lost it. They deserve each other, and honestly, I won't mind seeing their plans fail. They'll both have to face the consequences of their choices eventually. We've all been misled at some point in our lives, and the real culprits are the liars, including the media, that twist stories for profit. Imagine if we could hold them accountable, even throw them in jail. Maybe they'd finally understand the damage they've caused. If I were Harry's parent, I would have taught him a lesson about responsibility and decency. If they decide to walk away from the family, then they should do it without any further support. The royal family shouldn't let them use the royal name to deceive people for personal gain anymore. In fact, the moment Harry and Meghan left the UK, the family should have made it clear that they were no longer affiliated with the royal family. Anyone who follows or trusts them would be doing so at their own risk because the royal family wouldn't be responsible for them. Sadly, the family didn't take that step, and I wonder if others feel the same way I do. If you had a son like Harry, how would you handle it? Would you let him keep making these choices, or would you intervene and cut ties to teach him a lesson? Will Meghan ever return to this country? Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if she never sets foot here again. As you mentioned, many of us don't think we'll see Meghan on these shores anymore. Joining the royal family might seem like a dream for many, and Meghan Markle was no exception. But what was supposed to be a fairy tale quickly turned into a journey filled with drama and manipulation. Her mindset seems unstable, and her decisions often questionable. After working so hard to become a royal bride, she still wasn't satisfied. It feels like she wanted more, something bigger than just being a part of the royal family. It's almost as if she aimed to outshine the royals and become wealthier than them. What's clear is that Meghan's respect for others has faded. She no longer shows the same regard for elders, and her behavior within the royal environment became rude and disrespectful. That was a big shift from how she once presented herself. The royal family, on the other hand, has always been known for their kindness and their ability to embrace different viewpoints, even if they seem unusual. They've always valued people for who they are and accepted others with an open heart, going above and beyond to maintain respect and unity. The royal family has no desire to change their ways, but over time they've developed a set of internal protocols that have helped keep things running smoothly. Enter Meghan Markle, a woman with a lot of life experience, some of it in questionable places. Harry met her in a pub and brought her home, unaware that he was falling into her carefully crafted plan. From the start, William, his perceptive brother, recognized the danger not only to Harry but to the entire royal family. He advised Harry to end the relationship kindly but firmly. Normally, royals don't interfere in each other's personal lives, but this was different. It was about protecting the monarchy. There's no doubt that both the Queen and Charles were informed. They were aware of the potential risk this woman posed to the royal household, especially if they didn't act with caution. What seemed like a personal relationship had the potential to become a threat to the institution itself. Without a doubt, a quick background check likely revealed enough to suggest that Meghan was not suitable to hold the title of a royal highness or become a princess. After about a year or 18 months, I'm certain the Queen requested a more detailed investigation into her background. That report must have contained enough information for them to fully understand who Meghan really was. In the first year, Meghan seemed to behave fairly well. Harry must have been impressed by her ability to present herself as a valuable addition to the royal family. He held on to her, convinced of her potential. Even through her difficult past, Harry was allowed to announce their engagement in that first year. The Queen and King Charles likely tried to ease their concerns, even though they probably knew that Meghan wasn't who she appeared to be, someone far from royal standards. Still, this engagement had to go forward before the Queen received the full report on Meghan's background. By then, Harry was already caught up in the situation, unaware of the trouble that was about to unfold. Harry spent much of his life receiving therapy for anxiety and related issues. He struggled with reading and writing, was a slow learner, and was often seen within the family as someone who made poor decisions. When it came to marrying Meghan, it's easy to imagine Harry saying, "I'll stamp my feet and marry her anyway," even when royal protocol required him to get permission. The Queen likely wouldn't have stopped the marriage, but in the past, things might have been different. Meghan could have been accused of casting a spell on Harry, with consequences as harsh as being burned as a witch. Harry might have been thrown into a dungeon, fed only bread and water for a time. But since those days are long gone, Harry got what he wanted. In the end, he married a woman whose ego seemed larger than life, filling every room with its presence. The lavish multi-million-dollar wedding was a grand event, but behind the spectacle, it was clear there was much more going on. While it seems the Queen may have made a mistake in this situation, she was gracious and went out of her way to ensure Meghan felt welcomed and happy. Meanwhile, William, who had always been devoted to his younger brother, became frustrated with Meghan. There's no point in rehashing her behavior, including her bullying and rudeness toward those trying to help her. She transformed into a royal, but unfortunately she became quite a difficult one. Meghan misunderstood the royal family's intentions. They gave her the freedom to be herself, but instead of appreciating it, she took advantage of their kindness, leaving everyone in disbelief. As she alienated herself, she would lash out at anyone who dared to say no. Meghan seemed to be focused on outshining the Queen, yet the press observed how the Queen tried her best to help Meghan adjust to royal life, even taking her under her wing. If only Meghan had acted appropriately, she could have had everything she wanted for the rest of her life. Instead, she now finds herself on the outside, relying on her cunning to survive. There are even rumors about a woman named Maria Gonzalez who claims she worked as a maid in their household, became pregnant by Harry, and now wants custody of her child. Until I hear that Maria has contacted the authorities to take her child back, it remains just a rumor. It seems Meghan has no relationship with Archie and is instead raising someone else's child. I can't help but wonder how Meghan would treat that child and their mother. How many people can truly handle the thought of their partners having children with someone else? This reflects a darker side of Meghan. It could also explain why Meghan has kept Archie out of the spotlight. Once that child is seen, she may face serious repercussions. Curious about what others think of Meghan. Well, her former boss recently spoke out, saying she was abusive towards staff. He claimed she would bully people and harass him through emails whenever she didn't get her way. You can find the interview online if you want to read more about it. Meghan's best friend of 30 years has spoken out, saying that she became unrecognizable after gaining fame. This friend no longer recognizes the person she once knew, and the way Meghan treated her first husband ultimately ended their long relationship. According to her best friend, Meghan was not a nice person. Her uncle has labeled her a diva, while her African-American family claims she distanced herself from them once she became famous. They have referred to her as a bully and a narcissist. One of her sorority sisters revealed that Meghan bullied another girl so severely that she ended up quitting the sorority. Additionally, a classmate named Dylan Lynch described Meghan as rude, narcissistic, and mean. A waitress who served her at a restaurant even said that Meghan was so unkind that she made her cry. Some of her Canadian friends have shared similar stories, stating that Meghan completely abandoned them after her rise to fame, claiming she was too important to sit with them. Meghan's security guards reportedly quit because she continuously put their lives at risk. They warned her about the dangers of not following certain safety protocols, but she didn't seem to care. It's as if the lives of her security team didn't matter, simply because she's famous and well-connected. While her PR team works hard to create a positive image of her, with people singing her praises, those closest to her, her friends, family, and staff, tell a different story. They say she uses people to climb the social ladder and then abandons them once she no longer needs them. Meghan wants the world to see her as the next Princess Diana, someone who is kind, compassionate, and the embodiment of love. Hearing that comparison is hard to stomach. Calling her the next Princess Diana is outrageous. Diana was indeed the epitome of kindness and compassion. Meghan, on the other hand, seems more like someone manipulative and self-serving. It reminds me of how even the devil once believed he was an angel. Meghan doesn't even come close to being worthy of carrying Princess Diana's slippers. It's puzzling how someone with her background can act so entitled. She seems to think she's a star, despite being a D-list actress with only a few supporting roles in movies. After receiving compliments from people she barely knows, she may have developed an inflated sense of self. While she appears to care about others, asking lots of questions and showing interest, I've heard reports of her having a bad temper. She reportedly throws things, belittles, swears, and demeans those around her. Her public attacks on her sister-in-law are clear examples of her malice. She has openly criticized her husband's family, calling them toxic, racist, and selfish, especially when it comes to money. Ironically, her own family has faced similar issues. This behavior isn't just aimed at the royal family, it seems to extend to many others as well. Often people are left confused, wondering why she acts this way and what has caused such hostility. Since starting her job on Suits, she's changed. Her ex-husband remains upset, refuses to be her friend, and wants nothing to do with her. She ended their marriage by sending the rings back through FedEx, leaving him with more questions than answers. No attempts at reconciliation, no communication except through friends or lawyers. There was no closure, no long goodbyes, and certainly no peaceful ending when dealing with someone so focused on drama. Meghan's past mistakes can't be erased, and Harry seemed blind when he chose her. That's all for today's video. Thank you for watching. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Stay happy and cheerful, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Goodbye and see you next time. Meghan reportedly claimed she had the ability to talk to the dead and even said she was tired of communicating with Princess Diana. But what did King Charles see in Camilla Parker Bowles that he didn't see in Princess Diana? Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. It seems Meghan truly believes she can communicate with the dead based on both her past actions and her own words. At one point she claimed to be spiritually connected with Diana, even saying she had received messages from her to pass on to Harry. This was published in British newspapers years ago for everyone to read. So this isn't something new, but is there more to it? Could this be a deeper issue that's been around for a while? Meghan is often seen as manipulative, always wanting things her way. She's been known to bully others and can be very sneaky, willing to do whatever it takes to reach her goals, without worrying about the consequences. There are also claims of her involvement in questionable activities, including working on yachts and having connections to figures like Jeffrey Epstein. Is this the Meghan we all recognize? She has described Harry as someone who's been struggling with personal issues for a long time. As many in Britain have noticed, has she possibly taken advantage of his vulnerability? Without diving too deeply into that topic, do you think Meghan, with her mindset and crafty behavior, might be using deception to control Harry? How could Meghan better achieve control than by using her acting skills to convince Harry that his mother, Princess Diana, is communicating with him? It's clear that Harry's emotional struggles are deeply tied to his mother, and Meghan might be exploiting that vulnerability. With Harry missing Diana so much, it's possible he's as easily influenced as soft clay in her hands. It's also important to note that Harry seems to have distanced himself from friends and family, claiming he no longer wants to see them. Doesn't that raise concerns about him being under some form of control? This whole situation feels like a clear picture of authority and submission. Meghan seems to be in charge, especially considering how she's always seen holding his hand or affectionately rubbing his chest or back when they're alone at home. It seems likely that Harry might see Meghan as a mother figure, perhaps even more influential than his own mother, Princess Diana. Meghan's current situation is concerning, especially if she has been manipulating him for years. If this all started at Diana's graveside and has continued since then, the damage may be hard to undo. It's hard to imagine this happening without her mother's involvement, and I strongly suspect that her mother has been helping behind the scenes for a long time. Of course, these are just opinions, but they're worth considering. There are also rumors that Harry is struggling at home because both Meghan and her mother are mistreating him. Given what's known, this possibility doesn't seem far-fetched at all. To be honest, I don't believe Meghan is talking to Diana. Diana would never guide anyone, especially Meghan or Harry, to hurt others. She would certainly never encourage Harry to distance himself from his brother and family. It's all lies. If Diana were to communicate, it would be directly to Harry, not through Meghan, and she would probably tell him to ditch Meghan, go home, apologize to his family, and make things right before it's too late. On top of that, Meghan seems to use the fact that they're now living in her world where she has more experience and influence. Harry, having grown up in a more sheltered environment, seems easier to manipulate. Now that she's isolated him from everyone close to him, she controls his entire world. It's possible that Meghan is using a medium, but these could be deceitful spirits pretending to be Diana, leading Harry astray. It's possible that Meghan herself is under the influence of wicked spirits, but let's stop with the lies and nonsense being spread around. Today, let's focus on Meghan, but also dive into something interesting about King Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles. Many reports suggest that what Charles saw in Camilla, which he may have missed in Princess Diana, boils down to compatibility and shared interests. From the beginning, Charles and Camilla clicked because they had a lot in common: polo, hunting, and enjoying inside jokes about the aristocracy. In other words, they were like two peas in a royal pod. On the other hand, Diana, with her youthful energy, glamour, and focus on humanitarian efforts, was on a completely different wavelength. This might have made Charles feel somewhat distant from her. Comfort also played a role. Camilla brought a sense of ease to Charles that Diana, despite her charm and grace, didn't. It seemed like Camilla wasn't all about the spotlight. She had a more easygoing attitude that allowed Charles to relax and just be himself. With her, there were no flashing cameras or constant royal expectations. Camilla was his chill zone where he could unwind. On the other hand, being with Diana meant everything was in the public eye with immense pressure. Let's not forget that Charles's marriage to Diana had a lot of strategic elements, more like a Cold War spy thriller than a love story. It felt like he was following a script rather than his heart. And when your heart's not in it, things tend to unravel, especially in the royal world. With Camilla, Charles likely found someone who let him be at ease, laugh, and enjoy life without all the pressure. She understood his dry royal sense of humor and gave him a space where he could be himself, which is probably what he was missing with Diana. Diana, on the other hand, represented a time in Charles's life filled with duty and constant public attention. She was a royal icon, always in the spotlight, and continues to be a beloved figure even today. While being with Camilla felt like slipping into a pair of old, comfortable shoes, being with Diana was more like wearing a sparkling glass slipper that never quite fit. What a mess, right? To truly understand the gap between Charles and Diana, consider this: Charles's favorite radio show was The Goon Show, which he's loved his entire life. That's a bit of a contrast to Diana's world, which was much more glamorous and public. When it comes to Diana's personal life, after her relationship with Charles ended, she stayed a beloved figure while Charles found comfort with Camilla. There are rumors that Diana had been involved with James Hewitt long before she admitted to it, and Charles's own infidelities were no secret either. Both seemed to be looking for something that was missing in their royal marriage. Diana, much like Meghan, had a complicated relationship with the tabloid press. At times, she would tip off a few paparazzi about her whereabouts, allowing them to capture photos. Before her passing, Charles had offered her and their boys a chance to stay at a castle in England, but she turned it down. It simply didn't mean much to her. From the beginning, Charles and Camilla should have been allowed to be together, but royal tradition insisted that he marry a woman with no past that could stir up controversy about the future queen. Diana was often taken advantage of by the royal family in the palace, which many, including myself, find distasteful. She was a kind, compassionate person and an incredible mother. Her struggles were likely worsened by the painful reality that she wasn't truly loved by her husband. It's heartbreaking to think about that sweet, innocent 19-year-old who walked into a marriage destined to fail if only she had turned away before it began. Charles had interests like writing books on historic architecture, while Diana, who didn't attend university, enjoyed fashion shows and pop stars. Although they might have had some affection for each other, it was clear that theirs wasn't a marriage built on deep understanding. Charles was also under pressure to produce heirs, especially as he was getting older, and Diana seemed like a suitable match for a future king. From the start, he was simply expected to do his duty. According to some biographies, Charles believed that over time, as their life together deepened, he would grow to love her. Sadly, Diana was searching for something different and didn't find it with him. It's tragic that she passed away so young. If only she had stayed at the Ritz that night and called for room service. On a brighter note, I'm truly happy that King Charles and Queen Camilla are now together and they're doing a wonderful job both for the country and in their personal lives. Diana was perhaps too young and inexperienced for someone like Charles, who had an old soul. I believe if they had met when Diana was in her 30s, more mature and worldly, Charles might have been truly captivated by her. It's said that after their divorce, they grew closer and became better friends. Timing plays a big role in the success of relationships. Camilla, on the other hand, was experienced enough to keep Charles engaged. That said, the way Charles and Camilla behaved during the marriage was poor and hurtful to Diana, only adding to her insecurities. Both Diana and Charles likely felt trapped and ashamed in their situation. Diana's life ended far too soon, and she truly was a beautiful woman. When we embark on a new chapter in life, we can never fully predict what lies ahead. There will always be unanswered questions and hidden truths, but it's the thrill of the unknown that drives us forward. A new adventure may be ahead, but that's advice for everyday people. As for Harry and Meghan, I hope they take a step back and see only challenges in their future. Has life been tough for you? Well, maybe that's what you deserve. If you ever run out of money, just let me know and I'll have a good. Recently, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry have reportedly been struggling to establish themselves in Hollywood. Experts have raised concerns about the direction of their various projects. The couple has dived into producing content for Netflix, and Meghan has launched a lifestyle brand. Some of her projects focus on cooking, friendship, and even polo. However, there are doubts about the path Meghan is taking, especially since she's also tried podcasting and rumors swirl about a possible return to acting. Experts suggest that to be successful, the couple needs to choose one clear direction for their brand and stay consistent in their efforts. Consistency, they say, is key to making their ventures work. She was never truly part of Hollywood. She never came close to having a real Hollywood career because, simply put, she wasn't good enough. Yet here she is, basking in the spotlight as if she's been a star of the silver screen for years. The audacity is incredible. It's as if she accidentally stumbled into fame and now believes she's the leading actress of the century. But let's be honest, her performance lacks substance, her words are as empty as her claims to stardom, and her presence feels as fake as a cardboard cutout. While Hollywood's glitz and glamour may dazzle some, those with a sharper eye can see through her shallow act. She might parade around on her little stage, but don't confuse her with genuine Hollywood royalty. She's nothing more than a pretender. Why can't they just live quietly as Mr. and Mrs. Markle, staying out of the spotlight? The world is exhausted by their constant drama. It feels like they're addicted to the attention, unable to step away from the limelight, even though it's clearly damaging their reputation. You'd think after all the scandals and controversies, they'd want to disappear from the public eye. But no, they keep stirring the pot with every move they make, as if they thrive on the chaos they create, soaking up the attention, even when it's mostly negative. Let's be honest, their 15 minutes of fame ended long ago. Yet they hold on to the spotlight like it's their lifeline. Maybe they just love being the center of attention, no matter the cost, or perhaps they're too wrapped up in their own self-importance to realize how the world really views them. What really puzzles me is that I thought she had cut ties with all her old friends, even from childhood. Either way, I have zero interest in watching anything she's involved in. Even their engagement interview was uncomfortable to watch. I caught it after they stepped down from their royal duties, and it just felt so fake, especially with how she was practically clinging to him. Hindsight is 20/20, but wow, the fakeness was so obvious. The way she talks, it's hard to imagine her hosting a show about cooking and friendships. It's like they're just throwing ideas out there, hoping something works. But in reality, what do they really have to offer? When did he become a golf expert or she the queen of the kitchen in podcasts? I guess Spare Volume 2 might get a few eyes rolling with more tales of hardship. It's funny she hasn't pitched a show about a day in the life, being a busy mom, actress, globetrotting, fake royal. Maybe she can't even keep up with the payments on that lifestyle much longer. Honestly, there's no sign of any real talent from her. If she had any sense, she'd ditch Harry, take all the money, jewels, and clothes she didn't earn, and disappear. Instead, she spent her time mingling with polo teens, playing a different kind of game. Imagine having multiple men on your back all day, what an image. Now it's their US faux royal family tours. Who's footing the bill for these trips and their security? Likely the donors to their charity. There's a big difference between fame and notoriety. If they had their way, they'd censor the free press and be recognized as internationally protected figures with the public paying for their security. Honestly, just strip them of their titles. It's often suggested that Meghan and Harry exploit their royal connections and use the Invictus Games for their own PR and popularity. The Invictus Games and the royal family should really reconsider their ties with these two, who seem more interested in using their status to pose as a fake royal family than anything else. In fact, she's gained a reputation for being indiscreet, which is why she's often avoided. The same goes for Harry. Trust is everything, and neither of them is trusted. Rumor has it that Netflix expected more scandalous stories about the royal family, only to find out Harry and Meghan were spinning more tales than a bakery has pies. She never made it big in Hollywood when she was younger, and her role in Suits didn't bring her lasting fame either. Marrying Prince Harry hasn't opened the doors she likely hoped it would. Fame requires talent, something she lacks. It seems like she's been desperately reaching for anything that might turn her into a true star, but fame isn't something you can buy or marry into. It has to be earned with skill, hard work, and true talent. Her time on Suits may have given her some recognition, but fleeting fame is not the same as leaving a lasting legacy. Others in her position would have used that platform to show what they're truly capable of and prove their worth. She seems perfectly happy to ride on her new status as a duchess, expecting the world to admire her simply because of her royal connections. But the truth is, no title or status can make up for a lack of talent. Hollywood is a tough industry that demands excellence, and sadly, she doesn't quite meet that standard. Being a socialite or a celebrity by association isn't enough. To truly stand out, you need real skill and artistry to leave a lasting mark on audiences. Honestly, I don't get it either. She was a third-rate actress on a barely watched cable show in Canada. Why would Hollywood be interested in anything other than her running a mobile burger van? Have Hollywood standards drop that low? It's about time the industry rethinks its priorities and starts investing in genuine artists who actually deserve the spotlight rather than those who just happen to be in the right place at the right time. Isn't that what true Hollywood magic is all about? It's clear that Meghan craves attention, especially if it's adoration and comes with plenty of money. The issue is that she has very little skill or talent, and she also doesn't want to put in the work to achieve anything. Instead, she expects everyone else to handle the behind-the-scenes tasks while she takes all the credit. Honestly, I wouldn't follow someone who claims to be an expert in cooking, gardening, and friendship. I can make jams and chutneys myself. I can't trust someone who thinks they can bury a fetus in the garden. As for family, I wouldn't consider those two reliable friends, not a chance. I'm not that naive. Sure, families can fight and argue, but Meghan seems to blame her and Harry's families for everything that goes wrong. Friendship should come with honesty, and it's something to treasure, guard, and protect no matter what. I'm sorry, but I don't trust those two. They lack talent, and it's been months since any A-list celebrities have wanted to associate with them. They can't produce or direct anything successfully. Everything they've attempted has failed, and no one is asking if Meghan will return to Suits since it was confirmed weeks ago that the new cast won't include anyone from the original series. No one is influenced by her, and they would need a lot of money to enter politics, which they clearly don't have. Plus, depending on Harry's visa application, they might not be in America much longer. When Meghan joined the royal family, she actually believed she would become queen. She once told the Queen her expectations, and her behavior indicates she struggles with empathy and kindness. She seems to think that only her desires matter, and that's it. This was evident during her cheap behavior in Nigeria, where she clearly didn't have a clue about the culture, dressed inappropriately, and looked completely bored unless she was the center of attention. Like many in the British public, I believe Americans are also put off by her self-righteous attitude and the way they've disrespected the royals. If Meghan continues down this path, she's in for a rude awakening. One can't help but think that she brought this on herself, which is a real shame. The British used to love Harry, but that's not the case anymore. They could have contributed so much, but now it feels like they've lost that chance, especially considering their Netflix projects. Yes, they did their documentary, which I'm sure people watched out of curiosity, but the Invictus program wasn't a huge success either. Their narration felt more like Netflix trying to cash in than anything genuinely impactful. One of the guests interviewed even mentioned that she had no contact with them, and her interview happened before they were even announced as part of the show. Who's really interested in polo anyway? It's often seen as a sport for the wealthy. Now, Meghan is planning to host a cooking show where she'll also talk about friendship and other topics. Will there be a segment on how to ghost people? I hope they're not claiming to be overworked, considering they said they work just an hour a week. And what about the book they intended to turn into a movie? It's been about a year since they mentioned that, and who are the other 40-plus recipients of her jam? Meeting Meghan and Harry brings up a big question. They need to clearly say whether or not Kate and Charles are involved in this situation. It's not fair to let rumors continue like this. The accusations of racism have been a cloud over the royal family for 3 years now, and it needs to be addressed. When one of Britain's wealthiest individuals had a grand wedding, many people noticed that Meghan Markle was not there, even with so many famous guests and royals attending. It left everyone wondering why the Duke and Duchess of Sussex chose to stay home. This absence has sparked curiosity among royal family fans and raised questions about what might be happening behind palace doors. Why did Meghan attend the Duke of Westminster's wedding alongside Prince Harry? The Duke and Duchess of Sussex were invited to this special event with around 400 guests, including Prince William, but they decided not to go. They came to this choice after discussing it with the Duke of Westminster, and it was mostly due to ongoing security concerns for Meghan and their children in the UK. Harry pursued legal action against the Home Office when his taxpayer-funded security was reduced after he stepped back from royal duties, a case he eventually lost. He stressed the need for his family's safety, saying he couldn't risk their well-being. Meghan Markle, on the other hand, wanted her own security team. While they already had protection, when visiting England, they demanded a much higher level of security than even the king. This included multiple seppues with flashing lights, tinted windows, and at least 50 armed officers clearing roads, emphasizing their importance as they moved through London. It's hard to believe they could travel without such an extensive entourage, but Meghan was unwilling to visit England without it. I find it difficult to trust Harry and Meghan's claims about security concerns. This seems like a convenient excuse that draws attention without any solid proof and is easily challenged, especially since Harry has returned to the UK several times without any problems. Is there really a genuine security issue here? I find it hard to understand the concerns Harry keeps raising. Is the UK actually dangerous for them, or is it more about the backlash they're now facing after distancing themselves from the royal family? When Meghan told Harry they needed to step away, it was probably because she didn't realize the full extent of royal protocol. She may not have understood that she would always have to walk behind Catherine and William at events, that she couldn't voice her opinions freely, or that royal tours weren't paid gigs, with her actions being dictated by courtiers. I believe she felt that when Harry was around his family, he acted differently and wasn't giving her the attention she wanted. When the idea of stepping away from royal duties first came up, I'm sure the courtiers explained to them that choosing this path would mean losing certain privileges reserved for senior members of the royal family. She likely took this as a personal attack, much like how she interpreted their child not receiving a title. I think that's when she started feeding security concerns into Harry's mind, drawing comparisons to his mother's tragic death and suggesting something similar could happen to her if she returned to the UK. It's reminiscent of the chaotic car chase they described in New York City after Meghan received her prestigious feminist award. When she accepted the award, she spoke about how everyone can be a visionary of their own life, which may reflect how she views her own situation. She may indeed be a visionary of her own life, but it's hard not to feel uneasy when hearing it. The reality is clear: very few people want to be associated with Meghan, let alone engage with her. This goes far beyond security concerns. What's likely behind these vague security stories is the growing criticism and alienation she's facing from the public. Fame hasn't brought her the support or admiration she might have expected. Instead, every move she makes is met with intense scrutiny. From relocating to the US to her statements on social media, her actions are constantly questioned. In a society that values stability and unity, Meghan has become a figure of division and controversy. Rather than being seen as a symbol of success and harmony, she's now more closely linked with conflict and confrontations. While security may be a part of her reasoning, it seems the larger issue is the disappointment and widespread disapproval she's experiencing from the public. Will Harry ever come to terms with the fact that Meghan herself is the biggest obstacle to any reconciliation with his family? Her personality and behavior seem to create an impossible barrier to the royal family accepting Harry's return. Meghan doesn't want to go back on their terms, and she won't let Harry do so either. Harry's return to the royal family isn't just a personal decision, it's deeply tied to the dynamics of his relationship with Meghan. While Harry may long for peace and integration with his family, Meghan appears uninterested in making any effort for royal approval. No matter how much Harry wants to reconcile, both partners must be on the same page, and Meghan has made it clear she's not willing to adapt to royal expectations. She has no intention of accepting external control or interference in their lives, which makes it difficult for Harry to find the acceptance he seeks from his family. Harry may be facing one of the toughest choices of his life between his family and his partner. Finding future unity and harmony could require difficult, perhaps even life-changing, decisions from both sides. In reality, the final resolution might be divorce, and many hope it happens sooner rather than later. There's a general sentiment that the Home Office should never grant Harry and Meghan the security they seek. Harry needs to come to terms with the fact that he was always the spare in the royal family, and now he seems to be the spare in his own marriage. One can only wonder if this realization will lead him down a path of depression, where he might find himself seeking solace in quiet moments like solitary walks along cliffs at sunset. What I'm about to suggest is speculative, but based on certain observations, someone who has admitted to using skunk, a potent strain of cannabis, may be more vulnerable to paranoia. That paranoia could easily be fueled by someone claiming to have spiritual connections to a deceased loved one, especially if there are conspiracy theories surrounding the loved one's death, such as claims they were murdered by the state. A paranoid person might start to believe that history could repeat itself, especially if incidents like the high-speed car chase in Manhattan are framed as dangerous. The manipulation of someone already prone to paranoia can be reinforced to the point where they genuinely fear for their safety. However, there's a danger in pushing this too far. Paranoia can escalate to the point where the person becomes controlling, even preventing the other from leaving the house, essentially making them a prisoner. Meghan should be careful about using fear to manipulate Harry. Playing with fire like this can lead to serious consequences. The security issue seems like a convenient excuse, but it's likely rooted in the fact that Meghan knows what she's done to the monarchy and the royal family is seen as unacceptable. She's probably using this as a way to demand that Harry push for security, fully aware that it won't be granted. This gives her an excuse to say he can't take the kids to visit his family, making it more about control than safety. She's likely pushing this issue with Harry, using the kids as leverage. The fact that she doesn't feel important enough seems to bother her. She also knows she wouldn't be welcomed warmly by many, and the fear of being booed must be on her mind. Meghan created these problems for herself, and it's hard to imagine many people have compassion for her now. No matter how much her PR team tries to spin the narrative, the lies need to stop. The public knows the truth. Meghan and Harry weren't invited to the wedding, yet her PR continues to spread misinformation. It's toxic and needs to end. They should accept reality and step away from the spotlight. If she's so concerned about security in the UK, why is she perfectly happy to visit places like Nigeria? She often uses the excuse of not wanting to leave her children to avoid attending events, but that reasoning falls apart when it suits her. The lying isn't working anymore, and people are seeing through it. In my view, Meghan's feelings of safety in the UK aren't really the issue here. The real problem is the negative media attention she attracts, which could reflect poorly on social media and in the press. Harry seems to say one thing but act differently. For example, he stood outside St. Paul's Cathedral without being surrounded by security, so it's hard to believe he felt truly unsafe. He was even offered a place to stay at one of the royal residences. Harry's own words in his book put a spotlight on his family, making them a target. It's clear that security isn't their main concern. What seems to matter more is Harry's struggle to accept that he no longer qualifies for royal privileges. The couple even visited one of the most dangerous countries in the world, despite travel warnings from both the UK and the US advising against it. Meghan seems to be avoiding public backlash, including the boos and criticism from both the public and the royal family due to her controversial actions. Another issue is that Meghan appears to have difficulty when the attention shifts away from her. In marrying Meghan, Harry has lost his heritage, former home and lineage, and their children will never know their true birthright. It's worth noting, too, that they didn't receive a formal wedding invitation, only a save the date. Meghan Markle, who once joined the British royal family with high hopes and expectations, has now decided to step away from life in California. What has she done? She didn't attend King Charles's coronation, turned down all invitations from the royal family, and even missed important events that her family looked forward to. Did Meghan intentionally deny her husband's and children's heritage? For nearly 2 years, Meghan has avoided the UK due to her unpopularity and has no immediate plans to return. However, King Charles might try to convince her to visit and see her family. Since moving to California in 2020, Meghan and Prince Harry have kept their lives private and rarely visit the UK. The only time Meghan, Prince Archie, and Princess Lily returned was for the Platinum Jubilee in June 2022, when the King met his granddaughter. Since then, they have missed all royal events, including the coronation. Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams highlighted Meghan's significant unpopularity, noting a TV poll in May showed that 65% of respondents disliked her. Despite the King's desire to see his grandchildren, he remains focused on his royal duties and recovering from a cancer diagnosis. The relationship between the Sussexes and the royal family remains tense, with no resolution in sight. It's frustrating and hard to understand why Meghan was still invited back to England after her controversial actions. Why should anyone be looking forward to her return to the UK? Some think she should consider going to Africa instead. First and foremost, Meghan broke the public's trust and failed to meet expectations when she chose to leave the royal family and openly criticized her husband's family. Her irresponsible and disrespectful attitude toward the royal family's traditions and values is hard to forgive. This not only hurt the family but also caused significant disappointment among the public. After stepping away from their royal roles, Meghan and Harry quickly signed lucrative commercial contracts using their royal reputation for personal gain. This appears to be a blatant and unethical misuse of their power and status. Instead of using their fame for positive change, Meghan and Harry have turned it into a means to make money, leading to public outrage. Meghan has consistently claimed she wants a private life, yet she frequently appears in interviews and media projects. This contradiction makes people feel deceived and unable to trust her. If she truly desires a private life, why does she continue to seek media attention? Meghan's actions and statements have seriously harmed the image and reputation of the British royal family both in the UK and internationally. Her accusations of racism and unfairness have sparked a wave of negativity that undermines the royal family's standing. This situation affects not only the royals but also diminishes the public's respect and admiration for them. Ultimately, Meghan's choice to skip important events and reject all invitations from the royal family, such as not attending King Charles's coronation, demonstrates a lack of respect, not just for her husband's family, but for the public as a whole. This action shows that Meghan does not care about family responsibilities and traditions. She didn't even come for the Queen's funeral, despite being in the UK when Her Majesty passed away. If she hadn't been in the UK, she wouldn't have left the USA, but since she was there, it was disappointing that she chose not to attend, especially after all the drama surrounding her attempts to fly out. This is another example of Meghan wanting things her way, but not getting them. Perhaps in the future, she could avoid using our country as a stopover during her global privacy tours. So why should we expect her to return? Meghan has had plenty of opportunities and privileges, yet she chose to squander them. Instead of continuing to create instability and division, she should consider finding another place to live her life away from unnecessary controversies and conflicts. We don't need someone like Meghan Markle to further confuse the current situation. It's time for us to be alert and firmly say no to her disruptive and divisive actions. Instead of falling for media tricks and false promises, let's stand together and send a clear message: we do not accept people who exploit their reputation for personal gain and harm the unity of the royal family. Meghan has repeatedly shown disrespect toward the royal family and the public, consistently creating turmoil and controversy. Her actions not only undermine the image of the royal family, but also cause instability and erode trust among us. It's time for us to see clearly and not let ourselves be deceived any longer. We have the power to choose how we respond, and it's time to use that power to create positive change. Let's boycott Meghan Markle and instead support those who genuinely contribute positively to society. Don't be deceived again. We deserve better and stronger unity. Analyzing the consequences makes it clear that this situation is not good and the outcomes are severe. Not only did Meghan lose in this marriage, but Harry has suffered even more serious losses. The loss of inheritance is not just a financial issue, it's also a loss of family honor and prestige. It's also amusing to hear that King Charles misses his grandchildren in Los Angeles. I wonder which children he's referring to. Meghan, could you clarify how King Charles is missing his grandchildren? He doesn't know them and has no relationship with them, so how can he truly miss them? As for Harry and Meghan, they seem willing to forfeit the joy of sharing moments with their children if it means staying away from royal events. Meghan often speaks for the children, but have any of us ever heard those children speak for themselves? Archie has two grandfathers, but he never mentions the one who lives a few miles away. It seems like Meghan wouldn't want him to know about someone so ordinary. Meghan also shared a story about a 3-year-old who said, "I can see me in you." That phrase sounds like it was taken from a children's book, much like many things she says. Her words seem to come from her imagination rather than the Invis kids. It looks like the she-wolf will need to ensure her child actors are well prepared before coming here. This won't happen soon since Lily's biological mother is currently fighting for custody of her daughter. As for King Charles trying to persuade Meghan to come back to the UK, it seems he has too much on his plate to worry about her. In urgent matters, he doesn't even seem concerned about whether Meghan is alive or dead, let alone figuring out how to bring her back to England. Meghan needs to realize that no matter how noble her goals may seem, the world doesn't revolve around just one person. Her personal interests can't be viewed as the most important. With this in mind, I hope Meghan stays grounded and doesn't hold on to any illusions about returning to the UK. Instead, she should focus on family life and work from the US, embracing the new challenges and opportunities that come her way. I really don't understand who Meghan thinks she is. She doesn't seem to have any talent or strong morals. Regarding Meghan's cooking show, it appears a pilot episode was screened for a test audience. The feedback? It was boring, bland, and uninteresting, with the main cook being unrelatable and not well liked. Why are we not surprised? Not only that, but the Nigeria trip has come and gone, and nobody seems to want another book from either of them. Netflix hasn't mentioned cooking or polo in ages, so why not introduce 1 or 2 more Invis kids? If I were King Charles, I would arrange a visit to the UK. John should meet with the Markle side of the family first. Seriously, the Markle side is in the same hemisphere. They should undergo DNA testing as soon as they land in Britain. Any media coverage should be under the King's control, not that of the latest Scooby-Doo style Sussex gossip. As for other suggestions, hopefully they won't come here since the majority of people don't want them. Maybe they could go to Malta, Nigeria, or anywhere else Meghan thinks she has ancestry from. After all, she is a fantasist. It could be anywhere, but let's hope it's not here. In the best case scenario, Meghan wouldn't even need to set foot in the UK. I'm sure Harry can manage bringing the children on his own. Whether he is man enough is a different question in my opinion. I also want to point out that experts often know just as much as the public does. Some may even tell the truth due to bribes from the royal family or Meghan and Harry. Because of this, the public should be selective about the information they take in. This makes it tough to assess information and make decisions. We need to rely on our personal intelligence and common sense to separate the truth from the noise and not let our views be swayed by the interests of those involved. This approach not only keeps us well informed, but also helps us form our opinions and decisions without outside influences. To sum it up, people in England will never forget or forgive her behavior. _, I truly believe she has made a significant impact. Catherine has brought something very rare to the royal family, an ability to connect with everyday people while being a princess. Let's immerse ourselves in the beauty and honor that highlight the love and sacrifice within the British royal family. Princess Catherine, with her graceful beauty and kind heart, shines brightly like a star in the night sky. Today we celebrate the love and care she shows the Irish Guards. This isn't just an act of kindness, it reflects her depth and sincerity. Recently, Princess Catherine, while undergoing cancer treatment, released an emotional letter to the Irish Guards. In her letter, she expressed pride and support ahead of their final rehearsal for the Trooping the Colour parade. As the colonel of the regiment, she regretted missing the colonel's review but wanted to convey her admiration for their dedication. She recognized their hard work in keeping their uniforms immaculate and executing their drills perfectly. She also apologized for her absence and expressed her hope to represent them again in the future. Soon, Catherine will continue her recovery at home. The Duchess of Cambridge is truly an icon of beauty, strength, and kindness. Her actions have not only made her one of the most beloved princesses, but also demonstrated that she is a strong-willed and compassionate woman. Catherine's thoughtful gestures, from sending thank you letters and performing acts of kindness to participating in charitable activities, enhance her beauty and leave lasting impressions on those around her, showing her heart for the community. With all this in mind, it's no surprise that people love and respect Catherine as a symbol of love and kindness. We hope she will make a full recovery soon and return to us even more radiant. This is the first hopeful public message we've seen about her condition from the princess herself. It's clear that the tough guards hold as much affection for their colonel-in-chief as she has for them, even while she is unwell underscore. Princess Catherine takes the time to write to others, sharing kindness and understanding. She truly shows her caring nature by reaching out to those in need. Her dedication to supporting others is a bright example of her compassion. As we see her generous acts of kindness, let's come together to send our thoughts and prayers to her, the royal family, and everyone facing tough times. May they find strength and resilience to get through these challenges, and may the love and support from others help them heal. Indeed. As a woman going through treatment, Princess Catherine may have felt the sadness of losing her long hair, which is a very personal and emotional experience. She deserves privacy and respect during this time, free from any unwanted attention. Let's show our respect for her bravery and grace by giving her the time and space she needs to handle this journey. We're all thinking of her and sending our support during this tough time. It feels like ages since we last saw the lovely Princess Catherine. How much longer will we have to wait to see our future queen again? Something doesn't feel right. May God watch over her as she heals. She is truly beautiful and greatly missed. You're absolutely right. It feels like it's been much longer than it really is, probably because everyone enjoys her presence so much. Cancer is a horrible disease that doesn't care about how kind or lovely a person is. Thankfully, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, is getting treatment that will help her inspire women for many years to come. Let's stay hopeful, because when she can share her vibrant spirit with the world again, we will all benefit from it. It's hard to understand why people say hurtful things about her. Those words should not matter to her. It's time to stop the negativity. What do you know about cancer treatments? There are many methods like radiation, chemotherapy, biotherapies, and surgery, and each one affects people differently. Something is definitely off. Catherine is dealing with cancer and going through treatment. What she needs now is support and positivity, not pity or negativity. To those attacking Catherine, are you being paid to do this? It seems like there are people getting money for spreading hate. Remember, speaking badly about the Princess of Wales doesn't go unnoticed. What goes around comes around. Let's hope people support you no matter what. The more Meghan acts this way, the more it shows her true character. She can never compare to our amazing Catherine. The only members of the royal family who seem to struggle with their roles are Harry and Meghan. They often appear unsure of how to act, whether within the family or outside of it. It's interesting to think about Meghan, who spent her whole life wishing to be part of this family. When she finally got what she wanted, she seemed to let it go. So yes, Harry and Meghan do seem to be the only ones facing challenges in this royal family. I can't help but wonder if they will eventually gain some important life lessons. On a brighter note, Catherine is handling her cancer care the right way by keeping it private. It's heartwarming to see so many people wishing her and her lovely family well. They're saying things like, "Take your time, dear lady, you are worth the wait." It's surprising how rude some people can be. Catherine, a mother of 3 young kids, is undergoing treatment for cancer. Her health and her children's well-being come first, and that's what truly matters. Not only are these comments rude, but they're also mean-spirited. I'm really grateful not to have anyone like that in my life. It's strange, even abnormal, for people to show such dislike towards someone they don't know personally. In short, Princess Catherine of Wales continues to show great strength and kindness, even as she faces her own battles with cancer. Writing a heartfelt letter to the Irish Guards to wish them well during the Colonel's review shows her remarkable leadership and empathy. This act is more than just a duty, it reflects her strong values and her dedication to those she leads, even during tough times. Princess Catherine's actions show a special kind of grace. She balances her personal health issues with her important public duties. This mix of strength and vulnerability makes her royal image more relatable and endears her to the public, who see her as warm and resilient. Writing to the regiment while she is going through cancer treatment reveals a lot about her character. It shows she can stay connected and supportive, even when she faces her own fears and challenges. This quality makes her a standout figure in today's royalty. Her empathy and care for the soldiers she leads show a nurturing spirit, putting the well-being and morale of others first, even during her own struggles. This moment also encourages us to think about what true leadership means. Princess Catherine shows us that true leadership isn't about big actions or being in the spotlight. It's about quietly supporting and encouraging others. It means being there for people even when you can't be present in person and keeping connections strong, no matter the challenges you face. When we think about Princess Catherine, we should also appreciate the courage it takes to carry out her responsibilities with grace. Her fight against cancer is incredibly personal and tough, especially when it means losing her beautiful hair. Yet this shows her strength and humanity, not weakness. Our hearts and thoughts go out to Princess Catherine as we wish for her fast and full recovery. She inspires us all with her grace and dedication as a royal leader and as a remarkable person bravely facing one of life's hardest challenges. Princess Catherine doesn't need to prove anything just to meet others' expectations about dealing with cancer. No one has the right to decide how someone should cope with such a serious illness. There isn't a right or wrong way to handle it, and judging her only adds unnecessary guilt when she has already faced so much. With all the conspiracy theories, nasty comments from some fans, and ongoing criticism, she deserves to heal in her own way. It's sad that some people choose to throw insults instead of showing support. Why do they feel better by putting others down? Maybe they should talk to the marks, they might have a job for you. The more negativity aimed at her, the more radiant and healthy Catherine must be to provoke such reactions. The only truly dysfunctional members of the royal family are Harry and Meghan. They seem to struggle with how to behave, both within the royal family and in public. Meghan spent so much time wanting to be a part of this family, and once she got what she wished for, she threw it away. So yes, Harry and Meghan are indeed the only dysfunctional royals. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them ends up with a lot to say about life in the future. On the other hand, Catherine is handling her cancer care perfectly by keeping it private. It's wonderful to see so many people sending their best wishes to her and her lovely family. Take all the time you need, dear lady, you're definitely worth the wait. Honestly, it's shocking how rude some people can be. Princess Catherine is currently undergoing treatment for cancer. As a mother of 3 young children, her health and their well-being are her top priorities. It's not just rude, it's downright cruel. It's a relief not to have anyone in my life who behaves like that. Showing such unnecessary hostility towards someone you don't even know is strange and might even indicate a need for help. Once again, it's clear that Princess Catherine of Wales embodies a strong sense of duty and kindness, even while facing her own struggles with cancer. Writing a heartfelt letter to the Irish Guards to wish them success for the Colonel's review is an impressive show of leadership and compassion. This act is not just about fulfilling a duty, it reflects her core values and steadfast dedication to those she serves, even during tough times. Princess Catherine shows a special kind of grace that goes beyond the ordinary. She skillfully manages her personal health challenges while carrying the heavy responsibilities of her public role. This blend of strength and vulnerability not only makes her a relatable figure, but also warms the hearts of the people who see her as someone genuine and strong. When she wrote to the regiment while dealing with cancer treatment, it truly showed her character. It showed that even while facing her own fears, she remained caring and connected to others. This quality sets her apart and makes her a wonderful example of modern royalty. Her kindness towards the soldiers under her care reveals a nurturing spirit, always putting the well-being and morale of others first, even when she faces her own struggles. This moment encourages us to think about what true leadership really means. Princess Catherine shows us that true leadership isn't about making big announcements or showing off in public. It's really about being quietly supportive and encouraging to those around her. She demonstrates the importance of staying connected, even when it's tough, and showing up for others no matter what. Looking at Princess Catherine, we can see how much strength it takes to fulfill her responsibilities with such grace. She's going through some difficult times herself, like her cancer treatment, which includes the emotional challenge of losing her hair. Yet, this vulnerability doesn't make her weak, it highlights her strength and humanity. We are all wishing Princess Catherine a quick and complete recovery. May her grace and dedication inspire us as she bravely faces one of life's hardest challenges with dignity and strength. That's right, Princess Catherine doesn't need to prove anything just to meet someone else's idea of how to handle a cancer diagnosis. No one has the right to decide how another person deals with cancer. There's no right or wrong way, and pushing your opinion only adds to the guilt she's already endured from conspiracy theories, hateful comments, and constant abuse. She deserves to heal in her own way. It's unfortunate that some people resort to insults. Why do they feel better tearing others down? Maybe they should talk to the right people who might have a more constructive path for them. The more people attack with bitterness, the more Catherine seems to shine, both in health and beauty, making her strength even more admirable. Where do we start? Well, it's clear that we have a lot of fun together. We both share a great sense of humor and like to keep things down to earth. We love to poke fun at each other, and she has plenty of little habits that always make me laugh. I like to tease her about them, and it's all in good fun. In the darkness of life, amidst thorny challenges and endless difficulties, there is a love that shines like a constant light. That love belongs to Prince William and Catherine, a symbol of unity and strength, offering inspiration and hope to anyone searching for meaning in life. Even through many storms, their hearts remain strong, glowing with eternal love and unshakable trust. A clear example of this was when Prince William gave an update on Catherine during a D-Day anniversary event in Portsmouth. He shared that Catherine, who is undergoing cancer treatment, would have loved to attend the event. William also spoke fondly of Catherine's grandmother, Valerie Middleton, who served as a codebreaker at Bletchley Park during World War II. Valerie, along with her twin sister Mary, played a vital role in decoding messages, including the one announcing Japan's surrender. Catherine has always expressed pride in her grandmother's remarkable achievements and honored her legacy by wearing a codebreaker's poppy brooch during Remembrance Sunday. Despite Valerie's secrecy about her wartime service, Catherine continues to pay tribute to both her grandmother and the incredible contributions of the Bletchley Park codebreakers. What's truly inspiring about William, Mary, and Catherine is that they remind us all that family histories, even outside of royalty, can be just as remarkable and worthy of honor. We are beginning to understand that the tradition of royals only marrying other royals was not without its flaws. Welcoming any Brit into the royal lineage strengthens it and allows everyone to appreciate the greatness of British people. As many around the world agree, the British know how to put on magnificent events. The generations who fought in World War I and World War II, along with the women who stayed behind to keep things going, deserve our deepest respect and gratitude. From the bottom of my heart, with the deepest sincerity, I not only respect our war veterans and those who didn't make it, but also thank them, even though words can never truly express enough gratitude. Their sacrifices and the lives lost will never be forgotten. Catherine would have certainly wanted to be present for many important reasons, honoring those who gave their lives for future generations and as Colonel of the Irish Guards. On a personal note, her paternal grandmother, Valerie Glassborough, was a codebreaker at Bletchley Park, working to decode the German Enigma machine during the war. Catherine undoubtedly inherited her grandmother's bravery. We truly miss seeing our beautiful princess and hope she is feeling better. Through it all, we can feel how much Prince William loves her. Just like in marriage vows, couples promise to be together in health and sickness, and we can see William keeping that promise. Their love remains strong and beautiful. And for a long time, their relationship has been a symbol not only of royalty but also of enduring, consensual love. The union of William and Catherine is not just a story of romantic love, but also a journey built on mutual understanding and respect. Like any marriage, they face their share of challenges, turbulence, and disagreements. Yet through it all, they've weathered the ups and downs, from joyful moments to difficult trials, always relying on their strong love and shared values. This has helped them overcome challenges and serves as an inspiration for other relationships. During the important D-Day commemoration in Portsmouth, though Catherine was unable to attend, the memory of her and William's words demonstrated not only his deep love and care, but also the profound respect he has for her as his wife. His words reflected his role as a protector, ensuring her dignity is upheld, especially knowing how easily the media can seize on any misstep. His careful expression showed his utmost concern for Catherine, reflecting the deep connection and understanding they share. Building a strong and beautiful relationship, Catherine has been more than just a wife to William. She has been his trusted friend, companion, and collaborator. Her presence and influence in his life are undeniable, and every time he speaks of her, it's a reflection of a man's deep love and loyalty to the woman by his side. Do you feel the same way? Recently, I read The Splendid and the Vile, a saga by Erik Larson about Churchill, his family, and their defiance during the Blitz. While I thought I knew a lot about that era, no other book has made me understand so vividly the struggles and sacrifices the British people endured. They withstood relentless attacks at great personal cost, and I hold a deep respect for their fierce resilience. War, along with its danger, brings immense pain and loss, something that's hard for us, living in modern peace, to truly grasp. I remember the war because I can recall things as far back as when I was just 3 years old. I remember walking over 3 miles to school, carrying my gas mask at just 4 or 5. I started school early because I could already read. I vividly recall the sound of the doodlebugs flying over our cottage, followed by an eerie silence before the explosion as their engines would cut out. My dad worked building airplanes, and my mom took care of me while also looking after 2 young refugee boys who would hide under their beds when bombs went off. We only had a wire cage shelter in our living room where we crouched for safety. My dad joined the Home Guard to do his part in the war effort. Twice he saved my life, once burning his hands badly while rescuing me from a fire. After the war, rationing and hardship continued for some time, but slowly life started to improve. I have often been overwhelmed by the thought that my life of relative freedom wouldn't exist if not for the lives sacrificed during the war. My gratitude runs so deep that no words could ever fully express it. It makes me so angry when I see this generation dismiss or even despise the older generations, many of whom made incredible sacrifices, whether big or small. And don't get me started on those who desecrate war memorials and graves. Recognition should extend to every family who lost loved ones during the war. Their loss is all of our loss. If there is a heaven, I thank those who made it possible for us to be here. We should never forget. This is the heartfelt sharing of someone born and raised during the war, and you can truly feel the depth of emotion in their words, right? It's only natural to feel anger towards those who betray our country or fail to appreciate the peace we now enjoy. But for those who lived through those difficult times, the frustration is even more profound. To live in a peaceful world like we do today, our ancestors shed blood and made great sacrifices. They helped preserve our country, and it's our responsibility to build upon that, making it stronger and better for future generations. Valuing the right to freedom has cost the lives and efforts of so many who took on the responsibility to defend it for our people. Every right we have comes with responsibilities, and it requires our continued efforts to protect those rights from being misused. Expecting rights without responsibility is a dangerous mindset. Today, people in our country need to reflect on where we would be if not for the bravery, loyalty, and steadfastness of those who defended our country, our people, and our neighbors in Europe. It's truly awful to think about the necessity of going to war against the brutal lust for power and control that leads to conflict, destruction, and chaos. With the utmost respect and admiration, we recognize the extraordinary contributions of these individuals. Their dedication and acts of selflessness go far beyond any recognition or reward we could ever offer. If you ever have the chance, I highly recommend visiting Bletchley Park. It's a fascinating place with a rich history, and the parkland in the heart of Milton Keynes is truly beautiful. Now I enjoy the freedom that comes with it, all thanks to heroes like these. Thank you so much for my life, you wonderful people. Before wrapping up the video, I want to emphasize the significance of Catherine's role. She is not just a new member of the British royal family, she symbolizes stability and freshness within both royalty and the community. Catherine's presence and activities have made a profound impact across various fields, from social issues to culture and education. With her beauty, intelligence, and talent, she has gained the attention and trust of both the king and the people. Her involvement has brought new energy and vitality to the royal family while increasing public interest and engagement in social initiatives. Catherine has actively participated in numerous charity programs and community projects. She regularly volunteers, meets with local residents, and supports initiatives aimed at improving the living conditions of disadvantaged people. Her influence extends beyond the royal family and resonates throughout society. By engaging in and supporting social activities, she helps build a better community and create greater opportunities for everyone. This is an important and honorable role for a member of the British royal family. It was an emotional morning in Portsmouth where historical memories came alive more vividly than ever. Amid tears and heartfelt condolences, a story of sacrifice and courage unfolded, touching every heart present. These moments not only remind us of a significant chapter in history, but also hold surprises and poignant experiences that shouldn't be missed. King Charles and Camilla were visibly moved as they attended the D-Day commemoration, where veteran Eric Bateman shared his story of losing a friend on Utah Beach 80 years ago. Despite his recent cancer diagnosis, King Charles insisted on attending and delivered a powerful speech honoring the bravery and sacrifices made by the wartime generation. Hosted by Dame Helen Mirren, the event featured readings, musical performances, and tributes from various celebrities and officials, including Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Prince William. The ceremony concluded with a gun salute, the national anthem, and a flyover by the Red Arrows and Typhoon jets, creating a fitting tribute to those who served. In a heartfelt and moving ceremony in Portsmouth, King Charles and Queen Camilla showed remarkable strength and deep compassion, leaving a lasting impact on everyone present. Despite his battle with cancer, King Charles remained determined and focused on attending, showcasing his dedication to duty. His speech not only honored the bravery and sacrifice of the D-Day generation, but also encouraged resilience and responsibility in both present and future generations. Queen Camilla's genuine tears as she listened to the story of veteran Eric Bateman deeply touched many. Her empathy and respect for the fallen revealed her compassionate and understanding leadership. In these tender moments, we witness a powerful sense of unity and immense gratitude for the heroes who gave their lives for freedom. Their presence, along with their meaningful words and actions, made the ceremony truly special and served as a reminder of our duty to honor the legacy of those who came before. The bravery and sacrifice of those remembered today must never be forgotten. I often worry about how the younger generation would respond if we ever faced a war. Unfortunately, it seems that many would just run away. I believe national service should be mandatory for every 18-year-old to help instill a sense of duty, discipline, and resilience that seems to be fading in our society. Through rigorous training and shared experiences, young people can discover the true importance of teamwork, sacrifice, and patriotism. This approach would not only prepare them for any future conflicts, but also build a stronger, more united community that respects and honors the legacy of those who served before them. By making national service a requirement, we can ensure that the dedication and commitment seen in past generations continue to thrive, laying a solid foundation for our nation's future. Honestly, I watched about half an hour of the program, and it was quite emotional at times. The disconnect we feel today is as stark as it was from 1939 to 1945. However, this moment offers us a chance to connect with a significant turning point in history and to remember those who fought, reminding us to be thankful. Many of the veterans who are still with us have expressed their frustration and, in some cases, their anger about what has happened to our country since their time. In some ways, I'm relieved they won't have to witness how much worse things may get. We owe so much to that generation, yet many people in this country either don't understand this or, even worse, take it for granted. I believe many of them would feel ashamed of what has happened and question what they were really fighting for. They truly deserve our respect and appreciation for allowing us to live in a free world, especially as the sun sets on their legacy. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn at the going down of the sun and in the morning. We will remember them. They were truly an extraordinary generation. It's no wonder the Queen shed a tear. We have so much to be grateful for, and we honor the fallen by remembering their sacrifices. It's not just my feeling, it's something all of us who were raised by this generation should recognize. Everyone should show them the utmost respect for what they accomplished. I grew up around paratroopers, artillerymen, infantrymen, and pilots, ordinary people who were called to perform incredible acts of heroism. Most of them never spoke about their experiences or expected anything in return for their sacrifices. They lived their lives as best as they could, and many have passed away with dignity and pride. May they all rest in peace. The bravery of the soldiers was truly remarkable. The war was filled with stories of separation, and whenever I think about it, a deep sadness fills my heart. Back then, people didn't fully grasp the gravity of their situation. Many couples were torn apart, children were separated from their parents, and tears flowed as loved ones were sent into battle, unsure of when they would return. In this context, the courage and spirit of sacrifice displayed by the soldiers become even more noble and admirable. They face their personal fears and set aside their own worries and suffering to protect freedom and peace for future generations. It is those quiet, resilient sacrifices that shaped our history, and it's our duty to honor and remember the noble values they left behind. One story that touched me deeply was when someone expressed how emotional it was to think of the brave men and women who gave everything. They wept not only for those heroes, but also for their father, who married their mother and left the UK just 1 week later with his battalion in March 1941. He was one of the lucky ones who did return, but not until April 1946. The current generation doesn't realize how fortunate they are. As my grandfather would say, they don't understand which side their bread is buttered on. I often wonder if they would cope under similar circumstances. Another heartbreaking story comes to mind. My late father lost his sight in the war at just 27 years old. He never got to see his wife, our mom, or his two children. They met when she nursed him in a London hospital after he was injured in 1945. This highlights the disaster and loss that war brings. On the other hand, I can't help but question whether today's young generation would dare to fight and be willing to make sacrifices for their country. I am quite certain that their stamina is very low. Now they enjoy a modern and comfortable life, far removed from the struggles faced by previous generations. Today's youth often seem focused on themselves, their pleasures, and their demands, with a troubling lack of respect for others and for the world around them. It's truly heartbreaking to witness. As much as I admired our late Queen Elizabeth, she rarely showed emotion, only shedding tears when the royal yacht Britannia was decommissioned or when Windsor Castle caught fire. In contrast, I feel that Camilla expresses genuine human emotion and King Charles also shows his feelings, which I find refreshing. My grandfather served in World War II, and I've heard many stories about his experiences, along with tales of families at home using Anderson shelters, enduring air raids, and worrying about prisoners of war in Japan. I'm 66, and I am eternally grateful to those who sacrificed their lives for my freedom. Yet I look at the present and wonder why the current and future kings can't make Britain proud of them. It's a disgrace that we seem to have let these incredible heroes down as our country feels overwhelmed by crime and exploitation. Many people view what they can get from the state as a sport, and the standards have fallen so low that it feels almost impossible to go any lower. Earlier today, the leading story reported how a network of Turkish criminals is profiting from supplying UK addicts with heroin, while many more individuals without known identities are being brought ashore to strip the country of its assets. We owe a huge apology to those who have been affected by what has been allowed to happen. Additionally, I've mentioned this many times before, when Queen Elizabeth II expressed her desire for Camilla to become Queen Consort, she meant that Camilla should not just remain a duchess, as she had to when she was Princess of Wales. She wanted her to take her rightful place beside the king as the queen. Regardless of how people feel about Diana, the title belongs to the king's wife, and Camilla is indeed the king's wife. If Charles and Diana had stayed together and she were still alive today, she would have been known as the Queen Consort, and no one would have thought twice about it. She would simply be called the Queen. Perhaps Camilla would have been thankful that her father came back from World War II after fighting in France instead of Africa, where he was hurt and captured. He escaped and returned home a decorated war hero. Our jokes about the Princess of Wales are similar to how people reacted to her situation. When she wears 3 poppies on Remembrance Day, they honor her 3 great uncles who died in World War I. Both women have their own memories as we remember those who helped keep the world safe from Hitler. You might not agree with these feelings, but many people do. That's all for today's video. Thank you for watching, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on these topics. Please share your opinions in the comments below. Wishing you all happiness and joy. Don't forget to support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Goodbye and see you in the next video.